say in the real time we don't use VMware workstation. Okay, say in the real time VMware workstation is not at all a option to install Citrix servers. Okay, only for our lab purpose we are going to install. In the real time, what we will use is maybe physical servers, or we'll use either physical servers or
Hypervisor.
yeah, type 1 hypervisors. Okay, so in the type 1 hypervisors, we have VMware ESXi server or Citrix Zen server or Citrix hypervisor, then Hyper-V. Even some of the people may use cloud also. So Citrix supports even the cloud also. So these hypervisors we are going to install. And one of the prerequisite is so Active Directory is a prerequisite. Active Directory is a prerequisite. We need to install Active Directory on one mission, and once we install the Active Directory on that Active Directory server, uh, we are enabling DNS. Anyhow, on the first domain controller, better to have DNS also, and DHCP. DHCP may be in separate mission also in the real time, but in our lab we are doing DHCP also. Say if we want to take only one server, say suppose we may have less resources on domain controller, we can't install Citrix components. Maybe studio, these kind of things we can install, but we can't install Citrix controllers, delivery controllers we can't install, or VDA also we can't install. Okay, so then one VM, on one VM, what we are doing is we are installing AD, all these domain controller, DNS, DHCP. On second VM, so on the second VM, what we need to do is, so again we need to take a Windows Server. On the second VM also we need to take Windows Server. Okay, say 2019 mostly we are taking, or 2022. Then once we take the Windows Server, so once we take the Windows Server, we need to uh, add to domain. It's mandatory. We need to join to the domain. Okay, so we already created the domain, right? With the domain that to that domain, we need to join this server. Once we join this to the domain, and before this itself, one more mandatory step in the virtualization environment, either that's VMware Workstation or hypervisor, we need to install VMware tools. So what
VMware
is
tool.
that meaning is, without having the VMware tools, don't install Citrix products. And the order is also first VMware tools itself. First, VMware tools itself we need to install. Later, we need to install any of the products. Okay. So without having VMware tools, if you install any Citrix products also, it's recommended first uninstall that product, later install VMware tools. After VMware tools, install that product also. Okay. So then once we install here the VMware tools and add it to the domain, okay. So then maybe prerequisites like .NET, all those also we need to install, but that installer itself is installing those prerequisites also. Then need to mount Citrix ISO. We are installing controller, that means delivery controller. Studio also we are installing. This is MMC based studio, not Web Studio. Later, if you want, we can install Web Studio also. Then director also we are installing. While installing this, it will ask the database. In our environment, we are using Express database on the same server. But in the real time, what we need to plan? So what we need to plan for database?
Description.
Yeah, so we need to have a dedicated database and that should be clustered also. So we should have a database and that should be clustered also we need to keep. But as we have very limited resources uh, in our laptop, we are using Express database on the same server. Then Citrix administrator will raise a ticket to the database team also. They will give the database on the remote server, that clustered database we need to keep, and proper backups and all those also we need to plan on that database. Express database for the real-time environments are not recommended. Okay, so once we design that database also, we have three types of databases, all those databases also. As of now, in our scenario, it uses Express database. It uses the Express database it is going to use. Then even we need to configure the license server also. In the real time, again the license server also is a dedicated environment, but in our use case, we are using license server also on the same mission. Okay, but in the real time, license server also should be dedicated another server we need to keep for the production. Okay, so we need to keep that like a, license server also should be kept on the another server. Then in the small environment or in the lab environment, we can install VDA on multi-session OS on our controller mission itself. That means here we have only two missions as of now. Two VMs we have. One is AD, that is dedicatedly we kept. Second one is we are installing a controller, studio, director, express database, license server. Then VDA on the multi-session OS also for the lab purpose. If you have 8 GB, okay, so you can install on the same server. Okay, but the third VM what you will take is the third VM maybe either Windows server is fine, or either Windows Server is fine, or Windows uh, 10 or 11 also is fine. If you take Windows Server, then install we say this also what we need to do, VMware tools. Okay, so VMware tools should be there. Second one is what is the second tool we required? So VMware
Active
tools is
Directory.
required. Yeah, add to
Add to Active Directory.
domain. So
Domain.
domain is need to have, and we require domain users. All those also we need to create. OUs, all those also will create, and that local admin permissions also that user should have in order to install all these packages. That domain user should have the admin permissions also, local admin permissions also. You should have. Then you need to install. If it is a server class OS, then VDA on multi-session OS. If it is a desktop class, VDA on single session OS. Okay, so as of now, we kept to that VDA on VMware Workstation, right? That VMware Workstation, like it's not type 1 hypervisor. That is the reason it can't be our hosting infrastructure. That means as of now, technically to the Citrix product, it's just like a physical server itself. Okay, we can't use MCS. Okay, what is the meaning of MCS? Mission
Mission
creation
creation.
services. In order to create the mission creation services, definitely we required one hypervisor or any of the cloud infrastructure. So we require the hypervisor or any of the cloud infrastructure. All the three leading hypervisors like VMware, Citrix Gen Server, or Hyper-V. All the three are supported, and we need to add that hosting infrastructure to this. Or cloud-wise also, mostly all the three like Azure, AWS, GCP, Google Cloud Platform. All the three are supported, and from the like private cloud wise, we have Citrix Cloud and VMware vCloud. All these also is supported. Mostly in our real time, this VDA on single session OS and multi-session OS, we are going to create on the hypervisors or on the cloud infrastructures. Once we set up those VDA on the multi-session OS or single session OS, we need to create hundreds or thousands of missions. For that, we are going to use either PVS or MCS. So we are going to create the PVS or MCS we need to use. Okay, so in our scenario, we are going to use MCS means it's mandatory we required. It's mandatory we required hypervisor. First we'll use with the hypervisor. Later we can try with the any of the cloud also. Okay, so one hypervisor is required. That means this third VM, if you want to use MCS, where it should be? The third VM should be
Hypervisor.
on the hypervisor
And
itself.
the hypervisor.
Okay, if we have on the VMware workstation, we can't use MCS. We can't use. Hope you got it right.
Sorry, Shrikant, could you please
Yeah,
tell
if
it?
you keep your third VM on your VMware workstation, we can't use MCS services because it is on the VMware workstation, not on the
Hypervisor.
hypervisor. So that is the reason the third VM we need to keep on the third VM we need to keep on the hypervisor we need to keep. Okay, that hypervisor we need to keep. Okay, so once we create the hypervisor and all this, we need to create the VM. On top of that VM also, again, VMware tools is mandatory, and uh, add to the domain also is mandatory. Okay, then once we create all this, okay, so we need to create in the controller. What we need to do in the controller is uh, from studio we are managing. So we need to open the studio. Then on the studio we need to create catalogs. So we need to create the catalogs. Then delivery groups, application groups also we need to create. So once we create the environment, we need to create the catalogs. And once we create the catalogs, those resources can be delivered to the users by creating the delivery groups and application groups. Okay, so while creating the catalog, if you don't have the MCS or PBS, okay, so we need to give the remote access we can give. Okay, over the RDP also we can give the remote access, but already we discussed we have some challenges with the RDP, but Citrix is going to give the remote access over ICA. That means even if the client having the physical servers also, why they'll go for remote access with the Citrix is going to deliver the applications through over ICA is going to deliver. So that is the main advantage. We are going to use the ICA kind of remote access. But physical servers even supports PVS environment also. Then PVS servers also we need to set up. So for the PBS server environment, what we required again is we required PBS servers are required. So provisioning services, even we required PBS servers. For the high availability, we will maintain multiple PBS servers. Okay, then PBS target device also we required. Both we required. PBS server is required, PBS target device also. And this PBS target device, again it would be on the physical server or on the virtual server. Okay, so on the physical server or virtual server also, we required that PBS target device should be there. Okay, so very tough to create all these in the lab environment, but we have different techniques. With that, at least we can explore all these through hands-on. But minimum, I recommend 16 GB of the RAM to perform all these. Okay, so then PVS also we can set up. PVS supports both physical, it supports, virtual also it supports. Okay, so but mostly we'll use the hypervisor itself. On top of that, we need to set up. But when we configure all these on the same servers also, try to assume in the real time all are on the separate environments. But when we are doing POCs or small setups, even we will share the servers on the same servers also. Okay. So then PVS also we may require, but if you want to use MCS, hypervisors are mandatory. Any of the hypervisors are mandatory. Then we need to add it into hosts. So in the host, we need to add that one. Okay. Sure. Any doubts on this? Any doubts?
No, Sri.
Okay. So then assume we'll design a small infrastructure. We have around uh, uh, like I'll tell one use case. Assume we have a 5,000 users we have. Okay, say 5,000 users we have. Maybe concurrent users I can tell around 2,000 to 3,000 users. So we have 5,000 users or like a total number of users, but there is no guarantee all will be in the same shift. Okay, so they're going to be coming in the multiple shifts. Concurrent users are around 2,000 to 3,000 users we can have. Okay, then can you tell me what are the components we require to deliver this?
We require Active Directory,
Yeah, so the Active
domain
Directory domain,
controller,
yeah, those all we required. Next, say,
databases,
yeah, database will
server,
go for a dedicated or express kind of thing for this.
Floating dedicated.
Definitely we need to go for,
dedicated.
yeah, dedicated. And data centers also. So if the users want the data centers also, better to go for two locations. Don't keep only one data center. If one data center goes down, we can go for one more data center also we can go. Okay, so coming back to the delivery controllers. So these are very, very important even from the interview perspective also. How much infrastructure, how many servers we have, all these you need to tell from your components also. Delivery controllers, I recommend for this use case, only one delivery controller is very, very risky in this kind of scenario. Better to go for minimum 4 to 6 delivery controllers. So we need to design minimum 4 to 6 delivery controllers we need to keep. Okay, so then we need to tell around we have 4 to 6 delivery controllers we have in this use case. Okay, so then we can get high scalable load balancing environment, and even one controller goes down, another controller would be there. Okay, so then coming back to the Citrix storefront servers, in our lab environment, we are going to keep both on the same servers, but in the storefront servers also, we shouldn't keep on the same server. Better to go for 2 to 4 storefront servers also we need to design. So we need to design the 2 to 4 storefront servers also. We need to design. Okay. So then, like we require license server. I recommend. Say we have a grace period. Is there right? Either one or sometimes we can go for two license. The second license server maybe for the high availability we can go. Okay. So then director, we can tell two servers for monitoring also high availability. Okay, so then definitely SQL server wise, it should be a remote, dedicated, and clustered Microsoft SQL server we need to use. So Microsoft SQL server we need to use for this scenario. Okay, then VDS when equate, either the VDS can be,
Multi-session or
yeah,
single session.
multi-session or single
Single
session
session only.
OS. Say if it is a assume if it is a multi-session OS. Multi-session OS also if we have, then that we may design from 50 to 70 servers we can take. So assume we have around 5,000 users like that, right? Okay, even if you calculate one server for around 100 users like that, okay, but not 100 users concurrently not coming, around 50 users like this, assuming like that, we are keeping VDA and servers are 50 to 70 servers we are going to design. 50 to 70 servers we are going to design. Okay, so once we design this 50 to 70 servers, so what is that? If it is a single session OS, so with the single session OS, if you go for the pooled random, okay, if you go for the pooled random, maybe 3,000 VDS may be enough, because in one shift, even if some people connects, once they log off, those desktops can be connected by other users
Other
also. Okay, but if you come to here pooled static or dedicated, maybe in this use case, we may need to go for 5,000 VDS. Okay, so that's which is cheaper here. The pooled random desktops are the cheapest desktops in the Citrix environment. Okay, so either we can go for the pooled random or pooled static or dedicated. But if you go for pooled static or dedicated, definitely user assignment have been done to the desktops. That's the reason minimum we need to take 5,000 desktops we need to plan. Okay, so then we are going to run most of the components, all these in the hypervisors. So now, how many hypervisors we required? Say it's maybe ESXi servers or Gen server or Hyper-V. Say if you go for this hypervisor, maybe minimum we need to run 10 to 20
Server.
servers. Okay, so that means even we are running here 50 to 70 servers also. Here we are going to run 10 to 20 servers if it is maybe multi-session OS. If it is multi-session OS. Okay, so then if you are taking uh, single session OS, we need to run around 3,000 to 5,000 BDS, right? Okay, uh, there also better to go for minimum. So 52 is 60 ESXi servers we required. Okay, 50 to 60 ESXi servers are required in order to run this 2000 or 3000 VDS if you want to run. Okay, then maybe 50 or 40 to 50 ESXi servers also we will maintain. For all this, we will require the vCenter kind of tool or Zen Center also. Even at the vCenter and Zen Center also, we need to plan for high availability. We need to plan the high availability. Okay. So then we should tell we'll have one NetScaler kind of environment. So we'll have NetScaler storefront. Anyhow, we have 2 to 4 storefronts. 2 storefronts may be attached to even NetScaler environment, and maybe 2 for internal environments. Okay, and another 20% higher infrastructure we should tell even for the high availability also. That means don't tell the exact servers, all those 20%. We need to keep additional kind of requirements also, because if any downtime happens, definitely we should have the backup kind of things or high availability we required. Okay, so those we need to set up.
Yeah, here FT also we become
Which one?
12,000 FT,
Yeah. At the VM level, we are going to configure HA,
HA and
TRS,
FT
and FT.
12,000.
But I'm
Yeah,
talking about vCenter level.
okay,
Okay, at the vCenter level also, one vCenter goes down also. Okay, because for MCS, what we are going to do is, say for the MCS, like if you want to work with the MCS, for controllers, we need to add our hypervisor. But Citrix environment, directly adding ESXi server is not supported. We need to add a vCenter only. Directly we can't use. But at the vCenter level also better to have the, because if that vCenter is down, again our complete hosting is down itself. vCenter
Looks
can
down.
provide
yeah.
HA and DRS.
Let's check.
Okay, for these use cases, we can have multiple hypervisors also.
Multiple,
Multiple vCenters also we can configure. Okay.
okay,
So this is for the MCS if you have. Then again, if you go for the PBS servers, say if you go for the PBS servers, almost 5,000 VDA on single session OS we have, right? So these all need to boot from a single image that is called as VDisk in the PBS environment. In order to boot 5,000 servers, one PBS server may be not enough. Okay, so then we need to design the, if you have MCS wise we can tell the hypervisors, all those. But if we go for the PBS servers, maybe we can tell around like 6 to 8 PBS
mm,
servers we
mm,
require. So again, the provisioning services wise 6 to 8. So these all little complexity. That is the reason people are using MCS itself mostly in the small and medium. But if you have more than 2,000 or 10,000 kind of desktops, if you have, then PBS also have some advantages. Even if it takes 6 to 8 additional servers also on the hypervisor wise, it will reduce lot of resources. Okay, so that's again our decision whether to go for either PBS or MCS. If we are using MCS, then we no need of PBS servers. No, we are using PBS servers only. Then we require minimum 6 to 8 PBS servers. we required. Again, for the PBS server, we required one database. We already have a dedicated database, right? Okay, so those database details also, the database itself can be used for multiple like for vCenter also we'll use the same database server. Like this also we can use it. Okay, so these all we need to design. And networking wise, definitely we should consider whether we have a good bandwidth. Okay, and always the connection should be highly available. Okay, so then if WAN wise also we need to keep, security wise also we need to enable multi-factor authentications. Uh, so we need to design at the net scale level. We need to go for active active or active passive. What is the meaning of active active is we are designing all these in two regions. One region goes down, then passive region will work. Otherwise, both also we can keep as active active. And for all these resources like database, controllers, Windows servers, VDA, for everything, we need to go for backup and restore also we need to design. So even we need to design the backup and restore also, and we need to integrate with the Citrix user profile management, FS logics, and we need to appropriate Citrix policies also. And licensing wise, say, can you tell me what are the licenses we required? Okay, so definitely wherever we are installing Windows, we require the Windows server licenses.
Yes.
Yeah, so then Windows licenses are required, and RDS level, we required RDS CALs also. But mostly one of the advantage with the RDS CALs is we have a grace period for the RDS is 180 days. Okay, so after 180 days, definitely we required RDS CALs also. Then Citrix licenses also we need to purchase. Citrix licenses also we need to purchase. Then if any application required the application licenses also we need to consider. Application licenses also we need to consider. Then mostly ESXi plus vCenter. So those licenses also we required. So those licenses also, if you use any third-party tools, that's also required monitoring those kind of tools or backup kind of solutions. For that also we require the license. And definitely the database also is a MS SQL server, right? SQL server level also we require the licensing. Okay. So these all the licenses. It looks like very expensive kind of thing, but the overall return on investment is very high. The overall return on investment is very high. That is the reason enterprises have preferred to use Citrix infrastructures. Then all these infrastructures, instead of some of the people are maintaining, they're going for a hybrid model also. Say in the hybrid model, like Citrix also is providing Citrix DAS. What is the meaning of DAS is?
Desktop as a
Desktop
service.
as a service. Even Citrix itself is available in the Azure also. Okay, Citrix DAS in Azure infrastructure. If you go for this, the controller components and license servers, hypervisor, hosting infrastructure, all those we no need to maintain. Okay, so those are shared kind of things. Okay, so that's the advantage if you use the cloud, but not recommended by bigger infrastructures, like where we have 4,000 users, 5,000 users, maybe we have 200 users or 500 users. These kind of small infrastructures are preferred to go for like cloud-based, DaaS-based services also. Okay, so then that licenses those billing we need to pay. But with the Citrix, what is the thing is upfront we need to pay a lot of money. So upfront we need to pay a lot of money, but in this use case, we just need to use them, and based on the usage, we may need to pay the money. Okay? Yeah. So these all we need to design. Any doubts on this?
In our lab infra, we are going to use Citrix Cloud also, right, Shrikant? Or
Citrix
are
Cloud
we?
connectors, all that stuff, Azure will use.
Okay, okay,
Azure Dash we can deliver.
okay.
Okay? So it's with the Azure
Yeah.
Dash, both are same. Citrix Cloud also will try because that connectors all that we need to set up. Okay, so any of that cloud is fine for us.
Okay, Shrikant.
Okay, so like this here we should able to tell, because in the interview also the first question is tell me about your infrastructure. Okay, so these all the considerations, how we have designed the high availability, all these we should able to tell. Okay, so now I have designed this for like 3,000 to 5,000 servers, right? Even if you have 10,000 users, so try to design the similar kind of infrastructure. So some of the people tell 5,000, some of them tell 10,000. According to that, design the workloads. How many controllers we have, how many data centers we have, those regions, and definitely we should able to tell even from the hardware also. Okay, you no need to configure that hardware, but what hardware we are using, in whether that is Dell or HP, okay, so IBM hardware, so that hardware version, what is the version of the hardware we have, and how remotely we are managing either through DRAC or ILO. So these also we may get some basic questions. Okay, so you no need to manage all that, but without knowing which hardware also we are using in our project, we may not work. Okay, so that is the reason what hardware we are using, that kind of scenarios also. Regarding our infrastructure, all the design kind of aspects we should able to explain, because definitely people will ask us, tell me about your infrastructure. Say in your project, what is our infrastructure? We should able to explain, and in the same way, we'll discuss one session on the what are our daily job roles and responsibilities, what are the major issues we got, and how we have fixed those issues, recent issues, major outages. Okay, so these also the questions we can expect in the initial questions itself in the interview. In the initial questions itself, they will ask all this. Okay, so according to that, we need to prepare. So then everyone come with your own numbers. Okay, so how many maybe the questions related to that is, so which version of Citrix you are using, or what are the versions you have worked. Okay, then like tell about your infrastructure. Then team also, they may ask the team size. Okay, you can tell around 5 to 6 guys are there, or 5 to 8 people are there. If you tell more number, they are supporting for 24/7, not all in the same shift. Okay, so we should tell around 5 to 8 members are there in the shift in order to manage all this. Okay, then definitely they will ask about roles and responsibilities. So once you go to the work, what are the daily activities you will do? What are the daily activities you are going to perform? Okay, and what are your roles and responsibilities in the team? Okay, so those related questions also we should able to answer. Then what are the major issues you have faced, and major downtime. Or they may ask you what is the recent issue you face, or yesterday what is the issue, or yesterday how is your daily activities, like what are the things you have performed, like this. All this itself similar kind of thing, but before itself we should be ready for all this. So we need to do some groundwork to explain. Then everyone should able to tell me, say you design this infrastructure I want to tell. So prepare all those these you want to tell. Even if you are working also, instead of telling the small infrastructures, uh, try to tell like you have worked with the complex kind of infrastructures, because companies also prefer that kind of uh, persons who worked with the complex kind of infrastructures. They prefer to work. Okay, so in your job you may have a small infrastructure also. Try to project little more on that. Okay, so which regions you have, mostly tell from the US regions itself. You have your data centers also. Okay, how you are connecting remotely, which server hardware they have, which versions of SQL server we have. All these versions also we should able to tell, and your roles and responsibilities, major issues, major downtime. Okay, so then any escalations in your job, that means you are not able to solve the problem, or customer has escalated any kind of, don't tell major kind of things. Okay, so then uh, any like which issue resolution has given appreciation to you from the client. Like this, all these use cases, if you prepare, very easily we can address the interview. Okay, so everyone from your like research and go try to prepare, not today itself, in the next 20 to 30 classes you prepare a notes or a diary kind of thing. In this you need to prepare all this, and the same thing we should able to explain in the interview. Then it's very easy to like crack the interview also. Okay, so today I'll share that Citrix ISO. Maybe today or tomorrow I'll take a longer session. We'll do most of the hands-on lab. Okay.
Yeah, okay, Shrikant. So the lab should be ready by the time you take
Yeah,
hands-on
I'll
class.
no, I'll show you with
Okay,
takes
okay,
more time also.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Mostly
Yeah,
to
Sikand, have you
tomorrow.
covered in migration part also, Citrix to Azure?
Migration upgradation I'll cover.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay, upgradation steps and how to perform all those I'll explain.
okay,
Okay, because upgradation also is very important for us.
yes, correct.
Migration long back we used to do from 6.5 to 7.8. Okay, so now upgradation is more important thing.
Okay.
Okay, sure.